We are continuing on Shulchan Aruch, or Chaim, and we are at the very end of the first Siman on Hilchot Kiddush, Siman Resh Ayin Aleph, Seif Tet Zayin, on Daf Mem Tet Amud Bet of the regular prints of your Mishna Beruras, and Maran writes, Lo yit'amu ha'mesubim kodem sheit'om ha'mekadesh. When a person says Kiddush and people have their own cups of wine in front of them, they shouldn't taste the wine before the one who said Kiddush tastes his wine, right? And says the Shulchan Aruch, that's only imhem zekukim lekoso. That's only if they need the cup of the Mekadesh. Sheshofech mimenu lekosot shebeyadam reikanim o pgumim. Because their cup of wine is either empty or it is pagum, which means if they've been drinking from it from before, that kos is pagum. That's not a kosher scenario that they could have said Kiddush themselves on it. Therefore, they need the cup of the Mekadesh. If I have a kosher cup myself, it's a revi'it, it's full, I haven't tasted it, it's not pagum, so I don't need you. I listened to you, Shomea Keone, I could drink my own cup before you. But if I need you, because my cup is not kasher, even though I have grape juice, I have wine, but it's not revi'it, or I drank from it before, then in those cases, I should wait for you to drink first, and then I drink. But if mesubim, all of them, or one of them, have a full cup, and it's kasher, it's not pagum, it's filled, nice, it's, all the checks, all the boxes for being a kasher cup for Kiddush, then they could do it on their own as well. Which the Mishna Berura says, pagum nikra ksheta'am min hamashkin mitchila. When is it pagum? When you already tasted from it from the beginning, and that's considered pagum. Now, how about straw? If you have a straw inside, right? My lips didn't touch the cup, right? I just had a straw and I sipped a little bit from the straw from this cup. Then the Kaf HaChaim writes in the name of Shvut Yaakov in Chelek Gimel that halachically speaking, that cup is not pagum. It's not considered pagum. This you have a lot on Pesach night, when this actually is an important concept. But nevertheless, it's the shita of the Kaf HaChaim. Now, Chacham Ben Zion Abba Shaul, his students in Or Letzion, they write that really it's not so clear, because at the end of the day you drank from it. Now with a straw, without a straw, so therefore it says you should be mahmir and consider it a kos pagum, and not drink from it before the Mekadesh. Because at the end of the day, a person that tastes from a cup makes it pagum, because not kavod for Kiddush to be on a cup that someone drank from it, right? So here also, your saliva, your thing goes in at the end of the day when you sip, and then the rest of it goes back down into the cup. It's also not considered kavod, because at the end of the day it touched your mouth, some of it went back in, so therefore you should not be doing it. Now, if with your finger you touch the thing to taste it, that's not considered pagum. That's fine, you have no problem, you could continue drinking from that, no issues. The last Seif, in Seif Yud Zayin, Maran writes, Ein sarich lishpoch mikos hamekadesh lekosot yayin shlifnam. So you have seen many people, when they say Kiddush, they have from the cup of the one who says the Kiddush, they pour to the cups of other people. So Maran writes, you don't need to do that unless their cups are pagum, unless their cups are considered drank from, they drank from them, and now you want to make them not pagum. Addition of a little wine to kos pagum fixes it. You see this by Brit Milah, when they say the bracha of koreta berit, and the person sips from it until someone that has Kriyat Hashem comes along, so you fill up the cup in between. Or for the cup of nisuin and kiddushin. Even those who have the minhag to have only one cup. Some have a minhag of having two separate cups. But even if you have one cup, when they say the word pragefin and they drink a little bit from it, right? The one that says the sheva brachot afterwards would add a little wine, even though the cup is still full because you just did te'ima. Still, you pour a little wine to fix it from being pagum. So says Maran, שעה צריך לשפוט לכל כוס וכוס כדי שישתו כולם מכוס שאינו פגום. That's what you have to do. Now, there is a concept of chibub mitzvah as well. There's a concept that you want to show that I love the mitzvah of kiddush. I'm drinking from the cup, from the wine, the zyayin shel mitzvah. So that's an additional mitzvah min hamuvchar type of thing that exists there, but nevertheless, it's not a necessity, says Maran of Shulchan Aruch. Now, the next Siman Resh Ayin Beit, contains the halachot of what type of wine is kasher for kiddush and what type of wine is not kasher for kiddush. For instance, we're going to discuss wine that's mevushal, cooked. Is it kasher for kiddush? Grape juice. Is grape juice kasher for kiddush? Right? Nowadays, the grape juices that we have, they have additions of sulfate and other things that prevents them from ever turning into wine. They're cooked also. So a grape juice that doesn't turn into wine, is that considered wine? How about a wine that is mixed with water? Right? Is that kasher or not? At some point, it loses its identity as wine, of course, depending on how much water you mix with. Is that 50% or is it less? You have nowadays is less, but certainly a few years ago, you had many wines that the wine content in your bottle of wine that you purchased in the store was only 17%. Right? So people find this hard to believe, but it's true, right? 17% wine. And the rest was water. Well, this is much better, of course, than the scandal that was found a number of years ago that there are 14 companies that were found and shut down, that they were producing 100% pure honey. It was advertised as 100% pure honey, and it turns out that they had zero honey in them, like mamash, no honey, right? So of course that was a large scandal, but this is not even a scandalous. This is just, wine is very strong. People want a pleasant drink, and you have that. And the reason it's 17, they could even do less, is because of a Ramah that we're going to have, that you have to have at least 1/6 wine, which ends up being 16% wine. So 17% wine meets that requirement. This is going to be the subject we're going to discuss, which is very interesting and very relevant, because Chacham Obadia, for instance, he held that Maran Bet Yosef holds that you have to have at least 50% wine. So all these wines that we mentioned, based on the Ramah for the Ashkenazi communities, would be Shakol Niya Bidvaro for the Zorim. Actually, Chacham Obadia was once asked his Bimesader Kiddushin, and up there he went, he gave him one of these wines, he checked it, he knew that this is less than 50%, so he got up there and said Shakol Niya Bidvaro under the chuppah on this wine. So is that something you have to be concerned about or not? All of that we will discuss in this Seif, in this Siman. En mekadeshin al yain sherechora. First and foremost, if you have a wine that smells horrible, smells bad, smells like vinegar, you don't say kiddush on it. Even though that it tastes like wine and even smells like wine, but it has a bad smell, still you won't use it for kiddush. It's not asur to drink it. You can have it in the middle of Suda. But for kiddush is disrespectful. You want to have a proper wine for kiddush. Velo al yayin, and it's not just a yayin that has bad smell, but even, says the Shulchan Aruch, even if it's a wine that's meguleh, even a wine that was left open, it will be asur to say kiddush on. Now, this, the Shulchan Aruch has to quantify that that's even nowadays. Afilu ha'idna delo kaptina nagilui. Nowadays, we're not concerned about things being left open and uncovered. What does that mean? In the time of Chazal, they had lots of nechashim. They lived with, with certain unwanted guests living with them at all times. So having snakes and scorpions in your regular, residential area was completely normal. And therefore, they were very specific to not leave anything open, especially drinks, because if the nachash would want to drink from it, it may get mixed with some venom and so on and so forth, and you may drink it and get into trouble if you have any cuts and so on and so forth. So therefore, they were very, very, very specific, because it came down to a issue of sakana, and when it comes to sakana, we are very specific. Nowadays, we don't have nechashim. The snakes are not that common; they're not common at all. In fact, therefore, we're not considered. We don't consider this something we need to be careful about on a regular basis. So if you have water that was left open, you can drink it. No, it's not. But it's disrespectful for kiddush. Still, we don't do it for kiddush. There's a pasuk that says, "Hakrivenu na lifechatecha." So you bring a korban that is blind or lame or has blemishes. Hashem complains about people who do that and says, "Oh, it's good. This is good." Hakrivenu la lifechatecha. If you think this is good, why don't you bring it to any of your officials in your city, or anyone that holds any important office? See if he's going to be happy with you. Chas v'shalom. No, of course not. Everyone recognizes. Imagine you buy a shoe and you use it for a little bit, and then you give it as a gift to somebody, and it's completely used, or it's visibly used, or it has a cut in it, or it has this in it. It's blemished. You're never going to do that. You go buy a tie that was defected a little bit, and you have like a price reduced tag on it. You get that for a gift for your teacher, chas v'shalom. Of course, now everyone recognizes that doesn't pass. You get the best for a gift. So this is the same thing. When you say you're using something for mitzvah, you want it to be the best quality. So therefore, even though that we are not necessarily concerned about gilui nowadays, still we don't use it for kiddush. The Rama adds, and we don't use a wine for kiddush that tastes like vinegar. Even if it smells like wine, if it tastes like vinegar, the vinegar is pasul, and the taste of vinegar is going to render it invalid for kiddush. So says the Mishna Berura. Now, even before the Mishna Berura, we spoke about yayin mazug, which again, in time of the Gemara, you had a wine that was mixed 3-to-1 with water. That means you had 1 portion of wine and 3 portions of water, which is a lot. Is much more than 50%. And that was the regular wine. They said kiddushan. Now, how does that translate in our generation and the way we deal with it? And that's something that we have to discuss. I think we're out. I just realized we're out of time today, so we're going to leave that with Zat Hashem and discuss it in the next shiur. Chazaku Baruch.